I think society has gone too far in the opposite direction when it comes to the discourse around sexual content. I think it has been accepted way too much. Particularly, what I hate is the huge over-sexualization of Gen Z, and not only that, but the people who are underage. Now, there was this recent controversy online about this topic, the over-sexualization of someone who wasn't of age, stemming from the Bop House. To give you some clarity, if you have no clue what I'm talking about because you don't venture on that side of the internet, the Bop House, spearheaded by Sophie Rain, an OF influencer, is pretty much a house of young women that could be described as the OF Hype House, if you remember that. The 304 House. They're mainly on TikTok and use that app as kind of like a funnel to their OF. I don't want to get too deep into discussing the controversy, but pretty much the Bop House invited a girl named Piper, who's a 17-year-old influencer, to their casa to pretty much dance provocatively on social media. That's kind of their whole thing.
In the film.
Oh god.
Just like that. That was, I believe that.
Usually this wouldn't be a big deal, of course, if she wasn't underage, but she is. The thing with this girl, Piper Raquel, is that she has been groomed by her mother to be this, how do I say this, sexual figure, I guess. Like, Piper has been deemed the next Sophie Rain. She's literally said this herself, referring Piper as her mini-me. Sophie Rain is an OF creator. What's crazy is that Piper's mother, the brains of this whole operation, and the person who's been sexualizing her for years, has been sued for sexual exploitation by some of Piper's friends. It's crazy and quite frankly disgusting. Circling back to the main points of this video is that I just hate how accepted all this sexual content being pushed online is, especially from the younger generation, Generation Z. Now, I'm not one of those people who think that prawn should be outlawed and OF should be extinguished from existence, but I kind of wish there was some limit to all of this and it wasn't as encouraged. Now, Gen Z specifically isn't the only group of people that are over-sexualized. Honestly, everything is, but they're the biggest group of people that are over-sexualized, mainly because they're the biggest consumers of sexual content and creation of said content. It's very apparent on social media, probably why it's so bad in the first place, because of social media. You can probably create a new TikTok or Instagram account right now, and within an hour scrolling will be recommended a bunch of content of young women pretty much shaking their assets and it being called a dance. Now, I will say this, I don't really care that this content exists. I'm not one of those people who thinks sexual content shouldn't be a thing. I don't care. If a woman wants to shake her tatas online in a skimpy outfit, go ahead. I just hate the lies that women say when they're asked why they do these things. They don't do it for the love of the game, they do it for money. We live in a capitalist society. Most things that are done in life are in the pursuit of some cash. Another problem that I have with all the sexual content being accepted online and the younger generation being so sexualized is that the audience that it attracts. You ever wonder why in prawn, like barely legal teen or like virgin stepsis content is so common and heavily viewed? It's because there's a huge audience of lonely, creepy men who watch it, and women sometimes lean into it. Men should take most of the blame, but women aren't blameless either. That's a big reason why I hate the whole Piper situation, because she, or should I say her mother, is taking advantage of the fact that creepy men want this type of content. It's in demand. Underage, barely legal type of content. And whenever it's brought up that lonely, creepy, nasty men are the main consumers of this type of content or like OF content, women shoulder none of the blame. Women will complain about these creepy men consuming their content, right? But happily take their money and quite frankly encourage it. It's super odd and can be very dangerous for the women. It's kind of like female streamers, right? On sites like Twitch, in which their main appeal is how they look. Whether they want it to be the case or not, unfortunately. But some of them lean into it, take advantage of their looks. Like every popular female Twitch streamer has a stalker problem. Doesn't really matter if they present themselves in a certain way, whether it's as a 304, an OF content creator, or just as simply as a female gamer trying to have fun with their friends. If you look somewhat attractive, men are going to obsess over them and create this fantasy about these women. It's very sad and very disturbing. But what I see a bunch of times with some of these streamers, especially the ones who use their bodies as the main attraction for their stream, is that they don't care about these men being in their community. They might complain about them, but are perfectly fine with taking their donations. And I don't really care that these men are losing their money, right? Screw them. But by doing so, you are allowing these men to participate in your community, when for the betterment of it, they shouldn't even be allowed in it. I want to talk about OnlyFans. OnlyFans, I understand why it exists, but I hate it. Mainly because I just don't see the value of it for the people who purchase it. Mainly men, a lot of them also being pretty young and lonely. I remember there was this time in which OnlyFans was seen as a negative thing. It still is, kind of, but it's widely more accepted. The reason why I understand OnlyFans is because the top 1% of it is racking in a lot of money. So I understand that aspect of it. If there's an avenue for you to make a bunch of money by just posting pictures of yourself, doesn't even have to be fully nude, then why wouldn't you take it? Of course, if you just ignore morals and future opportunities that OnlyFans might mess up. But if you're down bad, you're down bad. Nothing wrong with a girl getting their bag. When it comes to the discourse around OnlyFans, there is two sides. Women who say OnlyFans is fine, that if you don't like it, then you should actually blame men for purchasing in it, because if they weren't buying any of it, then it wouldn't exist. Which is a very valid point. Men, on the other hand, who complain about OnlyFans, say that women take advantage of their audience, which tends to be lonely, young, miserable men, and it's actually harmful and damaging for these men, which I also think is a valid point. Here's my opinion about OnlyFans, a very unorthodox one. I don't care that OnlyFans exists. If women want to show their body behind a paywall, go ahead. Even though I dislike that every single woman that is attractive and has some followers online has an OF or is being pushed into starting one by men and women. Like, why is that normalized and encouraged? Anyways, I just don't understand why men purchase prawn. It makes no sense. If you're trying to get your nut off, there's so much free content online to do so. Especially if you're willing to sail the high seas. Shoot, allegedly, if you're willing to risk some viruses getting on your devices, you can find OnlyFans content for free online if you dig hard enough. Don't ask how I know that. That's my biggest problem with OnlyFans, is that if you're going to be a degenerate, do it for free. Overall, I don't care that people do OF content or sexualize themselves online to get some money. Life is hard. I just hate how normalized it is and pretending that there's no consequences of all this over-sexualization. Not only does it make women seem so one-dimensional, that their only value is their looks, it feeds into creating these desperate, lonely, miserable, dangerous, creepy men who don't know how to interact with their woman. And the age-old question that needs to be answered is it a consumer's fault or a producer's fault? And like most things in life, there's a middle ground. Everyone is to blame. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and adios.